7 million years ago, our primate ancestors lived safely in the trees, but their territory is about to be invaded. This newcomer will have as profound an effect on human history as any other living thing on Earth. It seems almost impossible to believe, but one of the most important factors that will lead to the emergence of us is the emergence of grass.
The grasslands appear almost simultaneously around the world. We get the African savannas. We get the Eurasian steppelands. We get the North American prairies. We get the great grasslands of Argentina, appearing simultaneously around the world.
In Eastern Africa, grasslands invade the traditional woodland habitat of our ape ancestors. With fewer trees and greater gaps between them, our ancestors are forced to adapt.
Apes would notice that there's more and more apes in the same tree and less food, increasing incentives for apes to go from one patch of food to a different one separated by grasslands. Now, one way to do it is to run like hell. The other way to do it is to extend one's food sources into the grasslands and seek out the foods that are available there.
And so some apes move down into this stark new habitat. It's a landscape better suited to primates that can walk on two legs, keeping their heads up above the tall grasses to watch out for predators. Standing on 2 feet is a revolutionary advance because it frees up our hands. Hands we will need to shape human history. $2.6 million years ago, early proto-humans, or hominids, walk on Earth whose rocks contain the element silicon. Created in the cores of stars billions of years earlier, silicon is the second most abundant element in the Earth's crust. One of its chemical quirks is the ability to bond with oxygen to form crystals that combine into solid rocks, rocks that can be chipped and shaped without shattering.
Hominids started doing this 2.6 million years ago, breaking cryptocrystalline silicates to make sharp edges, and people use them for millions, literally 2.6 million years.
Simply having a modified stone with a sharp edge on it, now suddenly you have a hammer. You have a crude cutting edge. A simple modified stone means a human can suddenly do 1,000 more things than we could do previously. That little extra bit of technology enabled our ancestors to persist and eventually turn into us.
Silicon launches the first technological revolution, the Stone Age. Millions of years later, it will power our first handheld devices. Another chemical quirk of silicon will once again make it the height of technology. The next leap towards becoming truly human lies in a little-known secret of our world. In the known universe, it seems that Earth may have a rare and special power.
Of all the planets and moons in the solar system, we think that Earth is unique in the ability to sustain fire.
Other planets and moons have lightning and lava. But only on Earth do we have the two critical things needed for fire to burn. A vast fuel supply in the form of plants and trees, and an atmosphere full of oxygen to fan the flames.
If fire wasn't a possibility, you'd have nothing like us running around. Homo sapiens, they made a world with fire.
Our ancestors have fire firmly under control by 800,000 years ago. It's a skill that connects us back to the very beginning. Remember that all energy was created in the Big Bang, and all life is in competition for our share of this energy. Using fire to cook is like having an external stomach to break down foods, releasing more calories, giving us more energy, which in turn allows us to support bigger brains. Fire is also the ultimate gateway technology. We will soon use it to turn clay into pottery, metal into weapons, water into steam power.
If you don't have fire, you can't have the internal combustion engine. No fire, no metal. No fire, no rubber. It's a technology that opens a world of possibilities for creatures that know how to use it.
"200,000 years ago, the modern human has taken shape. The larynx or voice box, which was high up in the throat of our ancestors, descends. More complex sounds are now possible. We begin to speak. For the first time, information can be shared between individuals and across generations. Humans have gained a critical advantage over every other creature on Earth.
You can tell my grandfather said that when the elephants didn't show up, we go off and hunted zebras. You know, my aunt told me that her cousin found this water hole on the other side of that river.
And we can all benefit and we can all understand what they mean when they're describing what they found out on that landscape.
Language changes humans from being like standalone computers to being networked computers, where you can share information. You know, one doesn't need to depend on one's own personal experience. One can borrow the personal experience of anyone with whom one can communicate. That's a powerful advantage. No other creature has that.
As a species, humans become exponentially more intelligent. The global game board has been set, and we are now ready to play. 100,000 years ago, man can move. We have agile hands and primitive tools. We can communicate and control fire. We're finally ready to expand out of our African home. On a path millions of years in the making. Shifting continents have linked Africa and Eurasia into the largest contiguous landmass on Earth. Afro-Eurasia. 33 million square miles, more than twice the surface area of our entire moon. For early humans, this means that more than half the land on Earth can be reached on foot.
Human dispersal was a crucial game changer. We are one of the few primates that live on more than one continent simultaneously. So what that means is that we're better insulated from the kinds of things that cause big mammals to become extinct than other primates are. It's extinction insurance. Dispersal is extinction insurance.
But just as the world begins to open itself up to man, the planet turns on us. An ice age begins. Now the planet will test us like never before. By 50,000 years ago, glaciers begin to advance down from the North Pole. At the same time, humans continue their conquest of the globe, arriving in China and Australia. By 30,000 years ago, Homo sapiens reach Europe for the first time. By 20,000 years ago, with the ice nearing its most extreme, the march of man reaches the frigid tundra of northeast Siberia. Despite the trials of the Ice Age, man endures and develops the last skills we'll need to be truly human. The clues lie in these symbols. We've taken an intellectual leap to think beyond the here and now, beyond what is simply needed to survive.
We can only start saying we have an organism that is human, that is the same as us, when we start seeing evidence of symbolic thought. It's when we start seeing a picture of a cow that everybody will recognize as the picture of a cow. Because only when we start seeing all of those things can we say that is a human. People or creatures that think like us, that see the world in the same way as us.
And from that moment on, human history was marked to be radically different to any other species on this planet.
Now, with huge amounts of the planet's water locked up in ice, sea levels plummet by 300 to 400 feet. The last great barrier to the spread of humans is erased. We come across the Bering Land Bridge from Siberia to North America. As humans take center stage, it's important to remember just how small a slice of history we actually occupy. To make things simple, imagine compressing 14 billion years of history down to just 14 years.
On this scale, the Earth would have existed only for the past 5 years. So that's about a third of the history of the universe. Large, complex creatures would have developed 7 months ago. On this scale, dinosaurs went extinct only about 3 weeks ago. The entire recorded history of humans would span only the last 3 minutes. Modern industrial societies, the Industrial Revolution effectively, 6 seconds ago. What this shows me is that we humans have been around for only a very brief instant in the recorded history of the universe.
Mankind has waited billions of years for our brief instant to shine. During that time, the stars and our evolving planet carried out the slow work of organizing the elements in a way that would make human history possible. It's 10,000 BC, less than 100,000 years after expanding out of Africa, and man has reached South America. Humans have met the adversity of the Ice Age head-on, and rather than die off, we've adapted and become even more intelligent. Now we've colonized the entire globe, from coast to mountaintop, from tundra to desert. Humans are everywhere.
Our closest living ancestors, chimpanzees, live in the tropics. They only live in the tropics. Humans have managed to colonize the entire globe.
Ice Age land bridges allowed man to spread around the world. But now the ice begins to melt and sea levels rise again. Humans are trapped and separated in 2 vast, unconnected hemispheres. Each pocket of humanity is left to make the best of what it's been given. As the glaciers recede, they carve out lakes, rivers, and bays. The map as we know it emerges.